Chapter 41. Members of the Royal Council, I appreciate you coming on such short notice this morning. Believe me, I would not have summoned you so abruptly were the situation not so grave. From his seat on the Royal Council dais, King Isbiano surveyed the Royal Council. The normally opinionated emissaries now looked to their king for leadership and guidance. But another watched the proceedings, Salandrian, who grinned as he peered through a cracked side door. Once more, emissary Loronian sat at the petitioner's table in front of the dais. 4 royal guardians, one at each end of the dais and one at each side door, stood stiffly at their posts. I nearly didn't make it, Pilano Samari, the emissary of commerce, said. Frightened peasants and laborers accosted my carriage on the road into the city. I thought they might shake the blasted thing apart. Yes, hundreds of refugees from Nassim and Oso Creek have arrived in our city overnight. Those who have nowhere else to go are camped on the outskirts of Ethanel, Isbiano replied. These people claim the blight spreads. They are terrified. And who can blame them? All the more reason we must take action now. Corona Piari, the emissary of security, pointed a sharp finger toward the king. What would you suggest, emissary, beyond providing shelter and food for the refugees, which we are doing? Your Majesty, a decisive strike against the Masok warlords is needed. Raja Lair has terrorized citizens at our northern border for years, Piari said. If we deliver a powerful blow against his forces, it will force them to withdraw this blight. King Isbiano sighed. Emissary Piari, we have gone over this before. Of course Raja Lair is a murderous criminal who would do the world a favor if he dropped dead. But we dare not risk a war without proof. And your daughter was sent to find that evidence, Piari retorted. There is still no word from the princess. The king came close to shouting his reply. Do not try me, emissary. Not in matters concerning my daughter's safety. I eagerly await her return more than anyone, but until she comes home, we will stay the course. Isbiano then looked down from the dais to the petitioner's table. Emissary Laronian, where is Chancellor Karagian? I requested his presence at this meeting. I do not know, Your Majesty, Laronian admitted. Like you, I expected him. I assure you, this absence will be addressed upon my return to Sonorian Square. My apologies. Salandrian stepped through the side door. I had some important business to attend to before the meeting. But do carry on, my good women and men. Salandrian sauntered over to the petitioner's table, as Royal Council members muttered amongst themselves. He sat beside Laronian in the chair reserved for Karagian, smiled at his emissary, and waved at the assembled Royal Council. Laronian whispered sharply, What in the world are you doing, man? Interrupting a Royal Council meeting? Embarrassing me in front of the king? Have you lost track of what meager senses you once possessed? Laronian's normally pale face turned a dark shade of burgundy. Have I upset you? My heart breaks, emissary Laronian. Salandrian put his hand over his own heart, then slapped his leader between the shoulders. Oh, that my mistake. That would be your heart that is broken. Ruptured, if we are precise in our language. His hand glowed on Laronian's back, and her eyes grew wide. Her body stiffened. She made an involuntary sound not unlike a mouse's squeak, then slumped dead onto the petitioner's table. Her head thumped against finished walnut surface. The grumbles and mutters from the dais turned into shrieks of outrage and terror. Salandrian stood. The light around him shifted and blurred. In an instant, his normal image, that of a stooped, pale academic in an ill-fitting gray jacket, was replaced by that of a tall, handsome, dark-haired man in a neatly tailored black coat adorned with red piping, worn over a red shirt. After barely a second's hesitation, the four guardians ran towards Salandrian, drawing their swords mid-stride. They may as well have been turtles returning to the lake on a scorching summer day. With one motion and a quick incantation, Salandrian lifted all four guardians high into the air, to the point where their heads were inches from the chamber's vaulted marble ceiling. He then flung them across the room to the far walls with a flourish of his hand. The emissary of transit moved toward the door. Before he could get a half-dozen steps from the exit, 24 mystic blades appeared in midair and struck down the helpless noble.
We call that one Kalian's cleaving contrivance. Care for another demonstration?
Emissary of Security Piari, a former guardian herself, had kept her combat skills sharp even in her administrative role. She pulled out the dagger she hid under her tunic and hurled it directly at Salandrian's head from the dais. Her throw was true, and under virtually any other circumstance, she would have scored a clean kill. But Salandrian deflected the knife with a shield spell, then incinerated the astonished emissary with Illadonian's immaculate immolation.
Does anyone else wish to try their luck?
No one did. The remaining 6 emissaries took cover under the dais. Sobs of, "Please spare us," and "I can make you a wealthy man," echoed across the chamber. But Salandrian's eyes locked on the only person who did not hide, King Isbiano. The king's voice remained clear and calm.
I would ask, what is this? But it is clearly a revolt, and one that poor emissary Leronian knew nothing about. I assume you are the cause of Chancellor Karagian's absence as well. Yes, well, Karagian has too many questions about spellbooks unaccounted for in our archives. A shame. I always liked the old battle sorcerer.
Isbiano cut him off.
Spare me the story. Your issue is with me, so let the others leave. Then you and I can discuss whatever demands you intend to make.
Salandrian walked to the front of the dais and looked at the trembling emissaries cowering behind their desks.
Very well. I will spare them. A leader needs followers, after all. And I will need seasoned administrators to ensure that our laws are upheld once more.
Isbiano scoffed.
The people of Imarinia will never bow to a tyrant. Kill me if you must, but the crown cannot be taken by force. It may only be earned through the respect and admiration of the Imarinian people. You will never be our nation's king.
Salandrian turned his back to Isbiano, as if daring the king to challenge him physically.
You think I want to be king? I have no interest in your mundane job or your gaudy little headwear. Why would I want to be a mere king when I can be a god?
Salandrian turned back to the dais and Isbiano. Magical energy now crackled in his eyes and around his hands, throwing a greenish-blue reflection off the polished marble walls of the royal council chamber.
Now, having said all that, the last thing I need is a sad old king getting in my way. Farewell, Isbiano.
He raised his energy-enrobed hands to deliver the killing spell. Isbiano closed his eyes. Then two strong arms yanked him backward through the curtain behind the dais. The king opened his eyes to view his unexpected rescuer. "Lieutenant Wingate, I was making my peace. I suppose the Exalted One sent you instead." Wingate hoisted Isbiano over his shoulder like a sack of grain and bolted for one of the doors off the anteroom. Salandrian stomped up onto the dais as terrified emissaries scrambled from under their desks and dashed for the exits. But when Salandrian pushed through the curtain, he found no one in the anteroom. Wingate and Isbiano could have escaped through 4 separate doors, each leading to a different area of the palace.
"The Guardian is resourceful. I will grant him that,"
Salandrian muttered. The energy streaming from his body ebbed and his eyes returned to their normal brown color. At that point, the front doors to the royal council chambers burst open and the scions of Salandrian, 20 strong, rushed into the room. A tall, gangly young woman with long red hair stepped to the front of the group and stood at attention.
"True leader, we saw the emissaries run out of the chambers. Should we track them down?"
"No need, Don Landrian. I already broke their spirit. But Isbiano is proving to be more trouble than I anticipated. I look forward to transmuting his blood into rancid water. Those ancient sorcerers were imaginative in their cruelty."
"We will bring him back to you, true leader,"
Don Landrian offered. The other scions of Salandrian surged forward to strike on Salandrian's command, but he waved his hand and instructed them to stand down.
"The king and his guardians won't be going anywhere. Our previous preparations will that they cannot leave the palace grounds. They are exactly where we want them to be."
"They are in the royal gardens?"
Don Landrian asked.
"Then it is time."
"Soon, my eager acolyte. We have a final player left on the board, Princess Isabella. She, my former student Kotarian, and that assorted group of misfits are back in Ethanel, according to our community sympathizers. They will come here.
"Should we?"
Salandrian held up his hand.
"Leave them to me, Don Landrian. In the meantime, take the others downstairs to the main dining hall and begin preparing our next spell. Something for King Isbiano to remember the scions of Salandrian by. I have everything you need right here."
He reached inside his jacket and produced a fresh red rose, a sprig of nightshade, and a lump of charcoal, and placed them on the petitioner's table, beside Loronian's cooling body. Don Landrian smiled.
"We will prepare the blight right away, true leader."